What if I told you the biggest danger America faces right now isn't coming from terrorists in the Middle East, but from a rising superpower in the East? China's military isn't just growing, it's designed to challenge U.S. dominance head-on. From hypersonic missiles to cyber warfare, Beijing is building a war machine that could one day go toe-to-toe with ours. We're breaking down the top 10 military threats from China America cannot ignore. Stay locked in, because when we get to number 1, you'll understand why this isn't just about Asia, it's about America's survival. For decades, the United States has been the world's undisputed military superpower. Our aircraft carriers ruled the oceans, our stealth bombers owned the skies, our nuclear arsenal kept the peace. But while Washington was busy with endless wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, China was quietly preparing for something far bigger. Kicking off our list at number 10, China's dangerous alliances with America's enemies. Fighting China alone would already be a nightmare, but Beijing isn't planning to fight alone. They're building partnerships to create a frontier against America. Start with Russia. After Putin launched his brutal war in Ukraine, who had his back? It was China. The two powers have ramped up joint military drills, warships patrolling the Pacific, bombers flying together near Japan, even sharing advanced tech designed to punch holes in U.S. defenses. This isn't a friendship, it's a military pact. And then there's North Korea. Every time Kim Jong-un fires off a missile, guess who's keeping his regime alive? China. They supply the fuel, the food, and the political cover at the UN. Without Beijing, North Korea collapses. With Beijing, it thrives and continues threatening our allies in South Korea and Japan. Just this September, China held a huge military parade on its Victory Day with Putin and Kim Jong-un as special guests. So if China's alliances with our enemies is only number 10 on the list, imagine how much more dangerous it gets as we move forward. Number 9, China's rapidly growing nuclear arsenal. For decades, America's nuclear balance was clear. The United States and Russia held the world's largest stockpiles, while China kept its nukes small, just enough to claim self-defense. But those days are over. Beijing is no longer satisfied with second place. They're building toward nuclear parity with us. And that should terrify every American. China currently has over 500 nuclear warheads, and they're on pace to reach at least 1,500 by 2035. And they're not just piling up numbers, they're innovating. China is building vast fields of underground missile silos in its western deserts, hundreds of them. These aren't for show. These silos can launch intercontinental ballistic missiles, capable of hitting American cities in under 30 minutes. Even worse, China's nuclear doctrine is shifting. For years, Beijing claimed it had a no first use policy, meaning they'd only strike if attacked first. Now combine this arsenal with China's growing navy and its partnership with Russia. Imagine a world where Beijing could threaten Los Angeles with annihilation while Moscow rattles its own nuclear saber in Europe. Suddenly, America's ability to defend its allies looks weaker, and our enemies know it. Here's the hard truth. If China keeps expanding at this pace, the next nuclear arms race won't be with Russia. It'll be with Beijing. And unless America acts now, we risk entering a world where China holds the nuclear advantage. Number 8, China's chokehold over the South China Sea. That part of the map isn't just some patch of water halfway around the world. It's one of the most important trade routes on the planet. We're talking about $3.5 trillion in goods passing through there every single year. Oil, gas, electronics, stuff we rely on here in America. And guess who wants to call the shots in that sea? China. Over the last decade, Beijing has turned tiny reefs and sandbars into full-blown military bases. These aren't fishing islands like they claim, they're forward operating bases, floating fortresses that give China control of everything that moves through those waters. Now, every time an American ship sails through, China swarms it with Coast Guard vessels, fishing boats, and sometimes even military destroyers. They're testing us, pushing us, daring us to back down. Think about it this way. If Beijing controls the South China Sea, they don't just control trade. They control the energy supplies of Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, all US allies. China claims the entire sea as its own, like drawing a giant circle on the map and saying, "This is all ours." The UN already ruled against them in 2016. Did they care? Not a bit. They ignored it and doubled down. Control of the South China Sea hits right at America's wallet, our security, and our global reputation. Number 7, China's push for space dominance. Now, when people hear space weapons, they think science fiction. Lasers, satellites blowing each other up. It sounds like a movie. But the scary part is, China's already doing it. Back in 2007, China shocked the world when they fired a missile and blew one of their own satellites into pieces. Just like that, they proved they could knock out satellites in orbit. Now, satellites aren't just about GPS on your phone. They control everything: our military communications, missile warning systems, banking, even the timing of power grids. If China can take out US satellites, they could blind our military before a single shot is even fired. And here's the thing, China's not stopping at missiles. They're testing robotic grappling arms that can grab satellites and drag them out of orbit. They're experimenting with high-powered lasers that can fry optics from the ground. In other words, they're building the tools to shut America down in space. And while NASA's busy doing peaceful missions, Beijing has a military branch dedicated to space warfare. That's why this isn't just science fiction talk. It's real, it's happening. And that's why China's space program is one of the most overlooked but dangerous threats America faces today. All right, number 6 on the list, China's massive drone force and their obsession with AI warfare. Wars aren't fought the same way they used to be. It's not all tanks rolling in and soldiers charging trenches anymore. The future of war is drones, automation, and artificial intelligence. And guess who's going all in on that future? Yep, China. Beijing has built one of the largest drone fleets on the planet. We're talking about swarms of unmanned aircraft that can spy, jam communications, and even strike targets without risking a single Chinese pilot. These aren't just toys buzzing around the sky, they're deadly high-tech weapons. Winglong and CH-series drones look almost identical to America's Predator and Reaper drones. But here's the kicker. China sells them everywhere, Middle East, Africa, even to countries hostile to the US. And then there's the AI side of this is. China isn't just building drones, they're programming them to fight smarter. Imagine swarms of hundreds of drones flying in perfect formation, overwhelming US defenses by sheer numbers. Even scarier, they're testing autonomous killer drones, machines that don't need a human to pull the trigger. Once you set them loose, they hunt targets on their own. So if Beijing can outproduce us in drones, undercut us in AI, and flood the skies with their machines, our advantage disappears real fast. Bottom line, China knows it can't beat us head-to-head with manned fighters and bombers, but with drones and AI, they don't have to. Coming in at number 5, China's rapidly expanding submarine fleet. Here's the deal. Submarines are the silent killers of the sea. You don't see them coming, you don't hear them, and by the time you do, it's often too late. And China has been quietly turning its undersea game into something we can't ignore. Over the last decade, Beijing has launched more than 70 new submarines, a mix of nuclear and diesel-electric powered vessels. Some of these babies can carry nuclear missiles, some are stealthy enough to sneak past US detection systems. And the scary part is, they're not just sitting in Chinese waters, they're roaming the Pacific. Imagine waking up to the reality that a dozen Chinese subs could be shadowing US aircraft carriers or patrolling near Guam without anyone knowing. That's the kind of threat these submarines bring: silent, invisible, and lethal. And they're not stopping there. China's investing in advanced anti-ship missiles and underwater drones that make their subs even deadlier. Their goal is to deny America access to critical parts of the Pacific if a conflict ever breaks out. So number 5 isn't just another ship in the ocean, it's a silent threat that could shape the balance of power in the Pacific for decades. Number 4, China's sneaky bio and chemical weapons programs. Look, this one's straight up scary because you don't see it coming. No boom, no smoke, no jets in the sky, but it could wreck a city or a base faster than any missile. China's been quietly cooking up deadly biological stuff that could hit soldiers or civilians, chemical weapons made for battle situations, ways to deliver it so nobody even knows what hit them. Picture this, a base goes down, hospitals flooded, troops scrambling, civilians panicking, and by the time we figure it out, the damage is already done. While everyone's watching missiles, drones, and subs, China's playing the silent, invisible game, and this one, it could literally change everything before you even blink.
Number 3, China's advanced missile capabilities. They've been quietly perfecting one of the deadliest arsenals on the planet, and it's designed to put America and our allies on the defensive. We're talking about hypersonic missiles. They can travel over 5 times the speed of sound, maneuver mid-flight, and hit targets with pinpoint accuracy. That means in a conflict, China could strike military bases, ships, or even cities before we even have a chance to react. And it doesn't stop there. They've got DF-26 carrier killer missiles, specifically engineered to threaten U.S. aircraft carriers in the Pacific. One launch could force an entire carrier strike group to retreat, or worse, be destroyed. China's missile strategy is smart, scary, and calculated. They're combining sheer speed, maneuverability, and numbers.
All right, number 2 on our list. China's cyber warfare and ability to cripple critical infrastructure. Now, this isn't your typical hackers stealing emails story. We're talking about a military-level digital threat that could bring America to its knees without firing a single shot. Over the past decade, Chinese cyber units have targeted government networks, banks, tech companies, and even power grids. And according to U.S. intelligence, they have the capability to shut down essential systems in hours. Everything from electricity and water to banking and transportation. The scariest part? This isn't just for spying. It's a weapon of war. In a real conflict, China could use cyber attacks to slow down U.S. military response, disable defenses, and create confusion before any traditional battle even starts. They're blending espionage, sabotage, and strategy into one devastating digital arsenal. And finally, number 1, China's looming threat to invade Taiwan. Everything we've talked about so far, the missiles, submarines, space weapons, AI, and drones, it all points to one terrifying reality. China's ultimate objective could be a full-scale invasion of Taiwan. And if that happens, the balance of power in the entire Asia-Pacific region and the world changes overnight. Taiwan isn't just an island, it's a tech powerhouse, producing over 60% of the world's semiconductors, chips that power everything from your smartphone to military hardware. If China takes Taiwan, they don't just gain land, they gain control over the global tech supply chain. And it gets scarier. China has spent decades preparing for a Taiwan scenario, amassing troops, stockpiling missiles, and rehearsing amphibious assaults. They've created sophisticated strategies to block U.S. intervention, including anti-ship and hypersonic missiles designed to neutralize our carriers and bases in the region. Taiwan is heavily defended, yes, but it's outnumbered and surrounded. One misstep, one miscalculation, and the region could explode into a conflict unlike anything America has faced since World War II. Here's the cold reality. The invasion wouldn't just threaten Taiwan. It would drag America into a massive military confrontation with China. This is the ultimate nightmare scenario. All the other threats we've covered, the missiles, drones, submarines, AI, and space weapons, culminate here. Taiwan is the linchpin. Lose control of the Pacific Gateway, and America's influence and security are at risk like never before. If you think this video was eye-opening, stay tuned, because next time, we'll reveal how billions of US dollars are being spent funding foreign militaries instead of defending our own country. The truth behind the money might shock you even more than China's weapons.